Imagine a stretch of water so narrow that you could literally stand on one shore and see the other side. "39 kilometers. That's it. That's about the distance from New York City to Newark. Now imagine that this tiny little gap, this almost forgettable sliver of ocean, controls 20% of the entire world's oil supply. And right now, in 2026, there are people who want to close it permanently. If they succeed, gas prices in America could double overnight. Your grocery bills would skyrocket. The global economy could literally freeze. This is the Strait of Hormuz, and it might be the most dangerous 39 kilometers on the planet. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand something that most Americans have never even thought about. Okay, so first, where exactly is this place? The Strait of Hormuz sits between Iran on one side and Oman and the UAE on the other. It connects the Persian Gulf, which is basically an enclosed bathtub of oil, to the open Arabian Sea, and from there to the rest of the world. Now, here's what makes this so wild. The entire strait is only 39 kilometers wide at its narrowest point, but the actual shipping lanes, even smaller. Ships going in use a 3-kilometer lane. Ships going out use another 3-kilometer lane, with a buffer zone in between. So we're talking about a total of maybe 6 kilometers of actual usable ocean highway, carrying 1/5 of the world's oil every single day. Think about that. 6 kilometers of water, trillions of dollars, every single day. About 17 to 21 million barrels of oil pass through here daily. That's roughly equivalent to the entire oil consumption of the United States and China combined, just flowing through this tiny gap in the map.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. And I promise you, this next part is going to completely change how you see the Middle East. You might be thinking, okay, this is just geography, right? Why don't countries just build pipelines around it? Why don't they just go around? Well, they tried. And what happened next is almost unbelievable. So here's the thing. World leaders aren't stupid. They've known about the Hormuz problem for decades. So they built alternatives. Saudi Arabia built a massive pipeline called the East-West Pipeline, 1,200 kilometers long, designed specifically to bypass Hormuz. It can move about 5 million barrels a day. The UAE built another one, the Abu Dhabi crude oil pipeline. Sounds like problem solved, right? Not even close. Because here's the math. Those pipelines together can handle maybe 7 to 8 million barrels a day at maximum capacity. But the strait moves 17 to 21 million barrels a day. That's less than half. The world literally cannot reroute enough oil to replace Hormuz. There's no plan B that actually works. And it gets worse. Building new pipelines takes years, decades sometimes, and every single one of them is still vulnerable to attack, sabotage, or political shutdown. The world built a global economy on top of a single choke point, and then acted surprised that someone figured out they could use it as a weapon. But who exactly is holding this weapon? And how did they get this kind of power? The answer takes us back to 1979. To a revolution that the United States completely underestimated. And the consequences of that mistake, we're still living them today. Before 1979, Iran was actually a US ally. The Shah of Iran, America's guy in the region, kept the Persian Gulf stable and oil flowing. Then the Islamic Revolution happened. The Shah was overthrown. And suddenly, the country sitting on the northern shore of the Strait of Hormuz became one of America's biggest enemies, almost overnight. And Iran figured out something very quickly. They didn't need to win a war against the United States. They didn't need aircraft carriers or nuclear warheads to cause catastrophic damage.
All they needed was to threaten Hormuz. In the 1980s, during the Iran-Iraq War, both sides attacked oil tankers in what became known as the Tanker War. Iran planted mines, attacked ships, and the world watched oil prices spike in panic. Fast forward to today. Iran has
Hundreds of fast attack boats, anti-ship missiles, submarine drones, and mines stockpiled near the strait. Military analysts estimate Iran could, in theory, disrupt or close Hormuz for weeks, maybe even months. The U.S. Navy maintains the Fifth Fleet in Bahrain specifically to counter this threat. Billions of dollars, thousands of sailors, all sitting there, essentially guarding 39 kilometers of water. And here's the part that should honestly keep you up at night, because this is where the $20 trillion number actually comes from. What would actually happen to the global economy if Hormuz closed, even for just 30 days? Economists have run the numbers, and the results are, honestly, terrifying. We're talking about a chain reaction most people have never even imagined. Economists and geopolitical analysts have actually modeled what a Hormuz closure looks like, and the numbers are staggering. In the first 24 hours, oil prices would spike. We're talking potentially $150, $200 per barrel or higher. Gas at the pump in America could hit $7, $8, maybe even $10 a gallon. Within a week, airline ticket prices would surge. Shipping costs for everything from your Amazon packages to the food at your grocery store would explode. Within a month, you'd start seeing actual shortages, not just price increases, shortages, because the entire global supply chain for manufacturing runs on petroleum products, not just gasoline. The $20 trillion figure comes from cumulative estimates of global economic damage over a sustained closure, lost trade, collapsed supply chains, emergency military spending, and the cascading recession that would follow. And here's what makes Iran's position so powerful. They don't even have to close it. They just have to threaten to close it. The threat alone is enough to move markets, change diplomatic conversations, and give them leverage they couldn't buy with any amount of military spending. It's one of the most brilliant and terrifying pieces of asymmetric geopolitical strategy in modern history. A nation that can't match American military power figured out that it doesn't need to. It just needs to hold the world's jugular vein. And right now, nobody has a clean solution to that problem. But here's what most people miss. The West isn't sitting still. There are three things quietly happening right now that could completely change the Hormuz equation within the next decade. And one of them involves a technology you probably use every single day. So where does this all leave us? The shift to renewable energy, solar, wind, EVs, is slowly reducing how much the West depends on Persian Gulf oil. The US shale revolution has made America more energy independent than at any point since the 1960s. Saudi Arabia itself is diversifying. With Vision 2030, they're literally trying to build an economy that doesn't need oil revenue to survive, because even they know the clock is ticking on Hormuz's power. But here's the reality. That transition takes decades. And right now, today, in 2026, the Strait of Hormuz is still the most critical 39 kilometers on the planet. Every time you fill up your gas tank, every time you pay for groceries, every time you book a flight, somewhere in that price tag is the shadow of this tiny stretch of water and the geopolitical chess game being played around it. History isn't just about the past. Sometimes it's happening right now, in a place most people can't even find on a map. If this kind of deep dive into the hidden forces shaping our world is something you're into, hit subscribe, because next week we're going to look at another moment in history where a single geographic decision changed the fate of millions of people. I'll see you there.